My message to unvaccinated Americans is this. What more is there to wait for? What more do you need to see? We've made vaccinations free, safe, and convenient. The vaccine has FDA approval. Over 200 million Americans have gotten at least one shot. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
We're not accomplishing anything with the fighting that's going on. This is a way to really get more people vaccinated.
And that's with regards to the growing sentiment, I think, across our country of people who are, if you will, anti-vaxxers.
If we're going to make it safe for kids to go to school or to open our economy, we must crush the virus.
And welcome back to We're the People. It's your host, Jason Preston, and appreciate you guys' patience as we've been offline for a little while. We're going to get into, what Alexa and I have been going through a little bit later today. The reason we're back right now is because this is why we do the show. We have something extremely important coming up. It happens. It is Kirk Moore's hearing, and it is coming up this Monday, the 7th at 8 a.m. We're going to have everyone show up there at 8. So we're doing a quick show right now that I want to share with as many people as possible so that we can rally and support Kirk, because that's the whole reason we do this show, is to make sure we're getting information out to people that the mainstream media is not getting out, and so that we can have a way to communicate with people and stand and help each other in times like this, because as many of you know, Kirk Moore, in my opinion, and many of our opinions, has been a great hero, standing up at great risk. And so I just encourage everybody to really help, get this message out. But before we start, I just want to encourage you, please go to our website, wearethepeople.org, and subscribe so that we can get this information out to people. Obviously, we encourage you to follow us on our socials, and we will be back more regularly. It's, like I said, it's just been a real season for Alexi and I, and we appreciate your patience and your support. And so without further ado, Kirk, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back, Jason.
Yeah, the last time we had you on was actually in our old studio,
right?
When the production was horrible. We all looked purple, and that was kind of the end of things. It was actually interesting. My wife and I were talking, because that was the last show. We kind of everything started coming to an end. We thought we were done.
Oh, really? Is that what it was?
That was the last show, and then we had some little miracles happen, and then we came to the studio, and it restarted. So it's kind of done full circle, because we kind of came to an end.
Right.
And we were almost thinking packing things up because everything going on.
Yeah,
and then here you are, welcome back.
Okay, well, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, well, we're excited to talk. And then we're also very excited. We've also had Robert Scott Bell in our last old studio, so that's been a couple of years. And Robert Scott Bell, for those who do not know him, he's for 30 years been a homeopathic doctor, 25 years radio show host. We had him on, like I said, it's been probably 3 years ago, and it was awesome. It was a great show, and that was back when we didn't have much of an audience, but I'm really excited to have him.
Good to see you, Jason, and I'm glad to be here with Dr. Moore and supporting his efforts at something that is a travesty of justice, the attack on him by our government. So we'll talk about that today.
Yes, yes. So buckle your seatbelt. This matters. And Kirk, Dr. Moore, two doctors here.
That's all right. Kirk's fine.
I'm with some giants. Share with our audience briefly about your story and what has happened.
Well, 2020 kind of changed my life. I couldn't believe what was happening. I shut down my office because we had the shutdowns here. Within 24 hours of doing that, I realized COVID was a scam. And I started treating people because nobody else was treating them. They were coming to my door. They're knocking on my office, getting phone calls from friends who knew me. And so I just started treating people, them with ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, all done for free. I didn't charge anybody, was just taking care of people because they were scared. They didn't know where to go. Nobody was treating them. They were hearing of their family going to hospitals and dying, not coming home. And so I just did that for, a year and a half, 2 years. I still kind of occasionally get somebody that calls me up. And then 2020, late 2020, the vaccine kind of was like, you're just starting to hear, okay, nothing's going to get back to normal until we have a vaccine. December 2020, they launched the vaccine. In January, there's 700 reported deaths to VAERS, just to VAERS, and that's probably recording 1% of the total number, and that's just, the United States. So you take that number, 700, that's 70,000 people, if you take the 1% number. 19,000, I think, reports of injuries. So that's 1.9 million potentially of injuries in 1 month alone. And so I was like, okay, I'm just still sitting on the sidelines. I'm still treating people. I'm, obviously our office is open again. I'm working. Then you start hearing about, okay, here comes Biden, here comes lockdowns. Lockdowns, we'd already had them, but, mandates. Kids can't go back to school without a vaccine. They just it's like a rapid deployment of, okay, anybody over the age of 65 can get it, and then anybody over the age of 50 can get it. And it just kept lowering the age, and it went all the way down to 12 years old. And I'm just sitting here going, we're giving what, 12-year-olds? I mean, they have zero risk of COVID. And by this time, I can't say I'm an expert, but I'd been reading a lot about, I'm a plastic surgeon, what do I know about viruses? What do I know about primary care? As a physician, you're always taking care of your friends, family. They come to you, oh, my daughter's got strep throat, can you help? Or I got this cold, can you help me with that? And so you kind of do those kinds of things. But this, in 2020, it was almost a full-time job for me. I mean, I probably took care of 800 to 1,000 people. Phone calls, text messages, calling prescriptions to pharmacies. So anyway, so 21 comes around, and, all of a sudden it's kind of like I can't go back to work without a vaccine. I can't fly without a vaccine. I can't travel to my job. I have an international job. I can't travel. Families in nursing homes and in hospitals can't have family members come in and hold their hand on their dying deathbeds. And then the worst part was, kids aren't going to be able to go back to school. They're going to have to wear a mask, and they're going to have to be vaccinated if they're 12 years old and over. So I just, I made a decision. I signed up to become a vaccine clinic and help people out. We had 2,000 people that were, came in over the course of a year and a half-ish. Started in May of 2021, ended in October of 22. My last patient was a lady who refused to get a vaccine and was taken off the organ transplant list. She was a diabetic, needed a kidney transplant, refused to get the COVID shot, and begged and pleaded us to help her out. We're murdering and maiming people with these COVID shots. I mean, like I said, 700 people died in January 2021 alone. I think the number is almost 40 grand now, 40,000 people that have been reported of VAERS, 39,000 and change. That's upwards of 4 million people in the United States alone that have been reported to VAERS, or could have been reported to VAERS. Nobody knows what VAERS is. It takes 30, 45 minutes to fill out a single, online form. Nobody does it. There's a PA in New York who lost her job because she was filling out all the forms. She used to work in an emergency room, and everybody that was coming in, she would fill out a form, and she got fired just for doing that. So, I mean, it's been, look, I had this conversation with you before. I think you brought the word up courageous to me. I didn't look at it that way. It wasn't courage. I was taking care of my patients to the best of my ability, to the best of my knowledge, based upon all the information that had been explained to me and that I'd read and learned from other experts. I'm no expert, okay? I'm just doing the best I can, and I'm treating my patients with full informed consent. I have a 24 by 32 piece of paper that you unfold with these vaccines that says intentionally left blank. How can you say, as a physician or provider, that you are giving full informed consent to your patients if you have a form that says nothing on it, say, hey, this is what it is. We're giving you this. These are the risks. This is what the side effect profile. These are the toxicities. This is your mutagenic studies. You have nothing, okay? We find out later, I don't remember when it was published. I think it was early 22, due to a lawsuit from Aaron Siri and everybody else that brings out the data and talks about Pfizer. they had 1,200 deaths in the study alone, in the Pfizer study that the CDC and FDA just kind of just whitewashed it and signed off on the bottom line and just admitted this thing to give it to kids 12 and over. It's now on the schedule to give to 6-month-old babies. And if the babies want it now, it's kind of more voluntary, I guess. But it's if family wants it or pediatricians want to give it to you and the family doesn't know, a baby is going to have 3 COVID shots before they're 9 months old. 3 COVID shots. We're now up to, in vaccines in general, we're up to 140 some odd shots before our kids turn 18. We have a massive epidemic of all kinds of chronic illness, asthma, ADHD, you name it, okay? Autoimmune diseases, diabetes, cancer now, one of my first podcasts, it was titled No Regrets. I don't have any regrets. I took care of my patients. I didn't murder. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't hurt anybody. I have no patient complaints. None. Nobody turned me in. None of my patients came to me. It was full informed consent. They knew everything that they were getting. They were asking for what it was that we were providing. We didn't hide anything. There's that nurse in Germany who did it to 9,600 patients, without them knowing about it. She got off scot-free. She might have lost her license, I think, for 6 months, got a small fine, and went away. The federal government.
She was giving fake vaccines.
She was giving fake. She
didn't believe in it.
She was giving saline shots
Yeah.
to her patients that didn't know it.
Yeah.
They thought they were getting the COVID vaccine
because she had an idea what was in it.
Correct. 9,600 people, and again, different country, different legal system, everything else. The feds now put together a task force to come after me. I had 11 officers show up in my office on January 11th. On a search warrant for my phone and for my office manager's phone. And since that time, they've charged me with 4 charges. I have a charge for fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, counterfeiting, and destruction of government property, and they want to put me in jail for up to 35 years.
And what many of you don't know is he's got a 16 or 17-year-old.
17 now.
Okay, son, who is incredible. And when you were in jail for how many weeks?
I was in jail for 22 days.
For 20 days. You've got your son, no parents. This horrific tragedy is his mother had passed away somewhat recently.
Yeah, 2019.
And so he's there, his dad's in jail for standing up and protecting people. And my heart breaks for this kid. And I almost wanted to bring him on today because he was such a warrior trying to fight for you. And so, to me, we're not just fighting for you. It's for your son. It's for justice. Tell me what this has done to your family and done to you. This process, last few months, this last year.
I have a daughter and a son. You've met both of them.
Incredible kids.
And it's brought us a lot closer. That's the reality. But it's been really hard. How do you have a 15, 16-year-old kid going to school and some of the kids kind of snarky, like, oh, I heard about your dad, what are you going to do when he goes to jail and all this? And, my kids, you've seen him, 6'2", 200 pounds. He can take care of himself. Nobody's going to bully him. But, but it still hurts, what it's done to us. Like I said, we're close. We've always been close. But it's, we get through it. Okay, look, we'll get through it regardless of what happens. They're strong kids, that. But it's been a real struggle. My practice is about 1/3 of what it used to be, if that, maybe 1/4. And not because I have people coming in or I had a few over the last couple of years of people calling us and saying, oh, this guy deserves to be in jail, and everything else. The vast majority of people, they had that when they posted this article on Salt Lake Tribune, I think, and KSL, when I first got indicted and it was published and everything else, they had to shut down the comments because everybody was like, you guys, hero, hey, this guy deserves to be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, whatever, okay? I don't want anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, but they had to shut the comments down because the vast majority of people know what it is. And that was even back then, okay? Yeah. And it's even better now. But I just haven't had the I used to concentrate. I used to just go to work and be able to just kind of work. You didn't have to worry about all the other stuff. You didn't worry about what motion's going to be filed or, anything else. I mean, I had the marshals show up in my office, throw me in handcuffs and put me in jail for 22 days because I sent a text message to my co-defendant saying, hey, we got court tomorrow. You guys should be there with your attorneys. And I got thrown in jail for violating my pretrial restrictions of not communicating about the case to my co-defendants. 22 hours a day in solitary confinement in a medium security prison here in Salt Lake County. It's just, look, they're making an example out of me. They want this to go out to show this is what we are going to do to doctors and providers if they go against what the government wants you to do. There is no law that says I have to give a vaccine the way the government says I have to do it. There was no law passed by Congress. They're shoehorning this thing into it. This whole thing into a fraud case. They're trying to say that I took $28,000 of product that they gave me, and I misused it. Okay. The same analogy is some company, GE, sends me something through Amazon. Okay, that I order, and they say that I need to screw it into the ceiling light bulb, okay? And I decide that I don't really like the light bulbs. I'm just going to use them as target practice out in my backyard with a BB gun. And then all of a sudden, GE says, well, he's misusing our light bulbs, so we need to throw him in jail. That's the same analogy here, okay? But the difference being is it was people's lives that were at stake, and it was people's it was kids at stake. It started just with the kids. It started with, I don't want these kids to get these shots. I was having family members begging me, hey, do something. Dr. Moore, what can you do? That was the best that I could do at the time.
The minute I learned your story, Matt, a couple of years ago, I had the utmost respect for you. And I've very much, as I've gotten to know you, because we've spent a lot of time together, I've really come to love and respect and appreciate you and consider you a good friend. And, this is the type of man that, we should be fighting for. So Dr. Robert Scott Bell, I want to know your thoughts, for our audience here. Why does it matter to the people here in Utah?
Well, it should matter for all Americans, but certainly at any state level, regulatory body, which is how medicine is organized under state licensure. The federal government shouldn't be practicing medicine, and telling a doctor what he should or should not be doing with a product.
I'm not sure where that would be in the Constitution.
Yeah, so I think that they are violating, medical practice statutes. But, we were meeting during COVID almost weekly with Dr. Moore, others. We would come together, physicians from all backgrounds. We had chiropractors, naturopaths, homeopaths, medical doctors, pharmacists coming together, talking about the new, let's say, threat to our health. And we quickly realized it wasn't COVID itself, it was the response to COVID. All of those things, including the masking, the isolation, the shutting down of schools, the completely corrupting families, the ability to come together and worship, all of that was occurring. And so as various physicians from various backgrounds, we came together in alliance. Didn't matter that we weren't the same kind of doctors. We cared more about what are we going to do? How do we help people? And as you heard from Dr. Moore, as he was learning about it as well, he had some decisions to make. And we have, as a culture, as a country, and as a state, the people figuring out, what is right here. Somebody that is forced to engage by the federal government in something that would be knowingly harmful, in fact, so dangerous that you might be able to terminate the life of someone coming to you for help. Now, it was an awkward situation that the federal government and then the states followed through on this, and local public health departments put like a no-win scenario, right? If you want freedom to go to school, to attend an event, sporting event for kids, you wanted to travel, you wanted to work, suddenly you were saying you have to take an experimental injection that you don't know the outcome of. And as Dr. Moore pointed out, when you wanted to read what does the insert of this product say, it's blank. You had no information other than what we were learning as, doing our own investigative journalism and others that were researching it, realizing this was an absolute disaster. And particularly with the mRNA platform, they actually had to alter the definition of a vaccination to call it a vaccination because people would not accept it if they knew it was gene therapy or gene altering therapy of any kind. And so, as a physician, I talk about Dr. Moore and I salute him as a hero. I know he's not going for accolades here, and his life and his freedom is on the line. So it's as difficult a situation as anything. But to be confronted with people that you swear an oath to help, first do no harm, that concept, and he took it seriously, and it was with fully informed consent, no deception. It wasn't like, the example in Germany which was fascinating to me. A physician knows that it's dangerous and decides, I'm not going to give it to people, but they don't know they're not getting it. In this case, it was an absolute full information, is that here's the situation, and the people pleaded with them that we don't want, but we need this in order to have some semblance of freedom to work, to care, all of the things that we've seen. Now, in retrospect, many people, not just the alternative practitioner community or the doctors that have woken up and seen this, are in support, as we heard from Dr. Moore about the newspaper articles, and the online response was so overwhelming in favor of this man should not be prosecuted for anything. In fact, that they're contriving charges here that make no sense with people that were fully engaged and aware of everything, delivering a service to protect these people, and finding out that he was indeed protecting them in that context. Now, it calls into question a lot of the way medicine and the practice of medicine is regulated, and that should be something we all look at every level, including at a state level. Are we going to support the freedom of a doctor to be a doctor, or are we going to engage in centralized bureaucratic authoritarianism and force doctors to do things that they know are wrong and harmful? So this is a big issue that the state legislature and the senators and even the governor should look up and say, we should stop this. And I think it should go all the way up to President Trump, if he's paying attention, and Secretary Kennedy, to absolve this man of any wrongdoing, and in fact pardon, a real pardon, as opposed to the blanket pardon of an Anthony Fauci, who is likely going to be held, at least in the court of public opinion, if not a court of law one day, responsible for potentially millions of deaths for programming people to accept something that was not in their best interest, that turned out to be an absolute disaster and a fraud. The fraud is being perpetrated by the federal government here. And to prosecute a doctor who actually believes in the oath of do no harm and engaged in something that was in response to the request of the people he was, seeking to help. And, this is a travesty if this goes through and if he's convicted of a crime here. People need to show up on the date of the trial and every day that this goes on to let people know. They need to be letting their legislators know. They need to let everybody know at every level that this is wrong. And we've got to reform and change this system, or else more people like Dr. Kirk Moore, who are trying to do the right thing to protect their patients, they're going to be afraid to do so, because then they're made like the example of, like we said, throughout history, Copernicus, Galileo, Andrew Wakefield, Ignaz Semmelweis. We talk about daring to tell other doctors they should wash their hands before they, deliver a baby after they've cut up on cadavers. And that's the kind of thing that they're made an example of. So don't you dare question us. This is authoritarianism at its worst. It's not freedom. It's certainly not constitutional, what they're doing. And so we have to take a long, hard look at ourselves and each other about how we're going to go forward if we really want to support the health of the people of America, much less the people of Utah. So show up and let your voice be heard, and let them know that this is a wrongful prosecution, and we need to really look at how doctors can be doctors again. All kinds of doctors, but in this case, medical physicians that have been licensed, etc. How are we going to let the federal government do this?
Well, thank you, Dr. Bell. I'm thankful for both you guys, and I'm thankful to our listeners, our viewers, the people here in the state. I don't have a lot of faith in the justice system. I've seen David Hamblin. We've seen too many of these people run free who should be convicted, and good people end up behind bars. And one of the things I hear from so many people, I mean, one of the biggest things I hear on Instagram especially is, well, what can we do? What can we do? How can we help? And this is a way you can help. You want to make a difference. You want to fight. You want to be remembered. You want to be able to tell your kids you stood and you fought for something meaningful. This is a fight that matters. Just go back and remember the hell we went through during the 2020, 21, 22, those years, the hell they put us through. And now they want to lock up someone who stood, someone who took a stance, someone who put his family and literally his life on the line. And what I'm going to ask is that you stand up, that you show up. And I'm going to, to Cox, Governor Cox, who's all of a sudden, America first and shifting their narrative. If you really care about, freedom, rather than just lip service, get in the fight, stand up, get involved, make some public comments. Our legislators, how many of you really stand for the people? Show up. We'll see who's there Monday morning of our legislators. And if you're there, we'll have you speak before his trial. Our Attorney General, I've met with, I know you guys say you're on our side. Prove it. Prove it. Get in the fight. And to you, we the people, so many, I don't know if you guys are probably not following Mike Glover. So many people are being destroyed by the justice system right now. Our only hope is in you. It is in we the people. When we the people came together, and I don't care where you stand on the land issue with Mike Lee, but the fact of the matter is, we refuse to be manipulated into a right-left narrative, and people on both sides said, we don't want this. And I don't care where you stand. The fact of the matter is, when the people came together, we got results. It was pulled. And that is the power we have. They fear you. They fear the people standing in numbers. And I'm going to ask, he has helped 800 to 1,000 people. I wasn't one of the people he helped directly, but I would sure hope and pray that 800 to 1,000 people show up Monday morning. And we will have speakers there. But I'm going to encourage you to come. Bring a flag, bring a sign, and stand with Dr. Moore, and let the justice system know that we, the people, are not going to be bullied anymore. We are not going to allow what happened in 2020 to happen again, because if we do, the reason that got shut down was because of people like you, because people like Dr. Moore refused to comply. We stood, we held our ground. And they are coming. I've been to several of his court cases. I've seen the federal government going after him and trying to destroy this guy's life and his children's life. There is nothing more important than standing for freedom. And I'm not asking you guys to take on a lawsuit. I'm not asking you guys to put your life on the line. But what we are asking is that you stand with Dr. Moore, that you stand with us, that you gather, that you share this with people. And it's not Dr. Moore, in my mind, who's going to be put on the test and put on trial Monday. It's you and me. It's the people of Utah. If in your heart you believe what happened in 2020 was wrong, you and I have a choice to make. Will we sit by and watch the justice system destroy this man's life because we've got to go to work? Or will we take a stand? And I will tell you, this battle of good and evil is escalating, and it will continue to escalate. And when this battle is all said and done, when you're on the other side, the only thing that will matter, and the thing that people will ask, and the thing that will echo for eternity, is, what did you do in that fight when everything was on the line? And this is your chance. So I encourage you guys to be there at 8 a.m. Monday morning. Make it a priority. Please share this. Please help get this out. And please stand with Dr. Moore. God bless you guys. This is the greatest state. We have so many patriots, and I sure hope we have well over 1,000 people there Monday morning, showing that we are a people of integrity and people with a backbone and spine. God bless you guys, and God bless Utah.